One of the worst things about California is the wildfires that just goes uncontrollably and burns everything in their sights. This story is about how from its ashes came forth a green card. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang and Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the legal problem in this case is two Buddhists got married, fell in love, but then got divorced, and now I have to help this Buddhist monk file for a 751 waiver. Prove that the marriage was real, but unfortunately, they got divorced. The key though is that they had no joint documents. Why? Because a wildfire burned down their temple, burned down their house, and they just didn't have a lot to begin with. This, I have to say, is one of the most difficult 751 waiver cases that I've ever had to do, because here was this Chinese man marrying this white girl. The marriage was maybe a year and a half, but the joint documents was next to none. They were renters. They didn't have a house. They didn't have a property. They had this Buddhist faith that joined them. They went to the same temple, same retreats, but they had a very spiritual relationship. And then the house that they lived in, the temple that they served at, was burned down and burned everything with them, all their joint documents. So they came to us to file for the 751 waiver. They did their own 45 application, their own original application together. And now when I am asking for joint documents, there just wasn't any. So how do you prove a marriage is real without anything? We really heavily leaned into two aspects of their story. The first part is their spiritual relationship. Why did they get married? What kind of spiritual relationship did they have? Now, it can't just be a spiritual relationship. It had to be real. It had to be a bona fide marriage relationship. So we got their, of course, marriage certificate. A lot of things we actually had to find because it was burned down. So had to go back to the county recorder's office, pull the marriage certificate. We had to get new testimonies from people at the temple. So I think we got like 13 letters talking about all the activities they were able to do together, the community they served. The temple had a 501c application. So a lot of stuff we were able to still retrieve from the government, luckily, but like pictures, like pamphlets, a lot of that was gone. We were able to document the spiritual lessons and the significance of their relationship and why it didn't work out and why they had to be separated. It was a very spiritual case, but that's only a third of it. The second part was about this big fire. So we had to document the deed to the original temple that they stayed at and how there was this big fire, and then the insurance claims that documented the actual fire burning down everything, the police report. And so even though we couldn't prove joint documents, we proved that this event actually happened and the grief and the loss that when it happened. Even though when the fire happened, they were already separated, not yet divorced, separated, there was, of course, efforts to retrieve things and to help each other through this difficult process. There were documents to try to show how they overcame this particular devastating moment and how they eventually recovered. Piecing everything together, showing it to the officer, this is just not a traditional marriage and traditional relationship. It was a particular faith, it was a particular lifestyle, there was this devastating event that's beyond their control, but we documented everything and the client was able to explain everything to the officer. And eventually the case did get approved without a very difficult request for evidence. It was still like a 5-10 page request for evidence, but we documented everything and the case got approved. And so the point of this story is that a 751 waiver doesn't have to necessarily have all these crazy joint documents. Your story matters more. And that's it. If you have any questions about 751 waivers or 751, if you have a unique story, would love to hear about it. Take care. Bye-bye.